All right, yesterday we started talking about prepositional phrases, and we said that there's a formula. Just like in math, you can have a formula that you can apply to any sentence in the world, and you'll be able to find a prepositional phrase. So there are three parts that you can have in a prepositional phrase. What's the first thing you're going to look for? We think of a formula as some part plus another part plus another part. So what's the first part we have to have a prepositional phrase? What's the first thing you're going to find, Cole? A preposition. Now, at this point in our studies, you probably do not have all the prepositions memorized, and that's okay. So how are you going to find a preposition in these sentences as we do them? Because you don't have them memorized yet. How are you going to know where the prepositions are, Dylan? Oh, you're jumping ahead, yes. The next part is modifiers. But let's come back to prepositions here. You don't have them memorized. So when you look in these sentences here, how are you going to know where the prepositions are? Cassidy? You can look on your cheat sheet on page 1. What other resource do we have in this room that will help you, Cole? Yeah, the list on our board, our pink poster for right now. All right. So, Dylan, you said modifiers come next. And what are modifiers? What do modifiers do? Our fancy 7th grade word was modifiers, but really what do they do? Modifiers are words that describe. Very good. And so what does our last word have to be? And this is a really critical part. You have to have what at the end, Liz? A noun. And we also learned yesterday that if you have a noun, what's allowed to take the place of a noun? Lane? Oh, that can't take the place of a noun. It's a pronoun. Very good. And so I'm not going to put that up here, but we know that nouns and pronouns are very interchangeable. So you're going to get a highlighter right now, and we're going to read through these sentences, and we're going to try to find some noun or prepositional phrases. Okay? All right, so my first sentence on here says, many people, like Mrs. Culleton and Mrs. Ryan, are afraid of many bugs. I want you to find a preposition. Let's only focus on this part first. Find me a preposition. Look on your list or look on this poster and find a word that is somewhere in this sentence. Who's got one? Find me a preposition. A word that's on that list. Lauren. Of. So if of is a preposition, we've got to see if it fits this formula. Of, we need a noun. Can you keep reading until you hit a noun? Of what are we talking about? Of many bugs. Very good. So there's our prepositional phrase, of many bugs. I can check it. Starts with a preposition, ends with a noun, and it has a describing word in the middle. Many. How many bugs? Many bugs. Now, yesterday we also talked about a term that can be used to tell the job that that noun is doing at the end of a sentence. A noun can do many jobs. It can be the subject of a sentence. It can be a direct object and an indirect object. It's doing a special job in this sentence. Flip back to your green page, look under your preposition notes, and see if you can tell me what job is it doing if it's at the end of a prepositional phrase. What's that job called? We're going to label it with 2 letters. Cole? The OP. Very good. The object of the preposition. So I want you to label it right now. OP. And we don't label with a highlighter. We label with a pen or a pencil. Highlighters are for highlighting. Now there is another prepositional phrase in here. So see if you can find another preposition. Where is there another preposition in this sentence? You got to be looking at your list. You got to be looking at the sentence to find it. But where's there another preposition? Cameron? Like. Very good. Now, like is a tricky one because like can be a verb, like I like bacon. But it can also be a preposition. So we have to see, is it a preposition? If it is, I should find a noun after it. So Cameron, what's it saying? Like what? Like Mrs. Culleton. Very good. Now we hit a conjunction. We hit an and. If there's an and after there, we want to see, is there something else that's like Mrs. Culleton? Like Mrs. Culleton and, Dylan? So we have two nouns in this sentence. So if we have two nouns in this sentence, we have to label them both with what job? What job is that noun doing, Cassidy? What do we call that noun at the end? The OP. So Mrs. Culleton is an object of a preposition, and Mrs. Ryan is an object of a preposition. And so what we're left with should be a complete sentence. Let's see. Read for me what's left in that sentence, Terry. Oh, start over here. Now that's the whole sentence. Now read it again. Get rid of the prepositional phrases. Just read what's left. Many people are afraid. Is that a complete sentence? Many people are afraid. It's a perfectly fine sentence. It's better with prepositional phrases, but it's fine. So if that's what's left, we should be able to find a subject and a verb in there. What's the subject? Many people are afraid. Cheyenne? People. And can anyone find our verb? This one's kind of a hard verb because we haven't talked about them yet. Josh? We could see if afraid is a verb and we'd ask ourselves, can you afraid? No. So it's not a verb, but there's a linking verb in there. We said if it's not an action verb, it's a linking verb. Anyone know your linking verbs? We haven't talked about them yet. No? Chloe? Are. This thing's a hazard. All right. People are. That's really a complete sentence right there. People are. That just means people exist. And that's fine. People do exist. But it's not a very descriptive sentence. All right, next sentence. They run from anything with 6 or 8 legs. Two prepositional phrases in here. So you're looking for a preposition. Find me a preposition. Nick? So you're looking for a word in this sentence that's on this poster or on your list. You're close to it. With. So with is a preposition. So I've got to keep going to see, is there a noun? Is it talking about with what? With 6 or 8 legs. Very good. So, Nick, which word do I want to label as the object of the preposition? Which one is the noun at the end of the phrase? Legs. Legs are nouns. We can see them. So what are 6 or 8 doing in that sentence or in that phrase, Cassidy? They're the modifiers. They're describing how many. I could also put with 0 legs too, because I'm afraid of things with 0 legs. You know what those are? What has 0 legs? Snakes. 2 legs I'm okay with. Sometimes 4. Worms, yeah, I don't like grubs. Maggots. All right. There's another prepositional phrase up here. Where's the other preposition? So look for the word in the sense. We're left with they run from anything. Cooper? From. So if from is the preposition, Cooper, what's the prepositional phrase? From anything. So what do I need to label? What do I need to label in that phrase? And what do I label it as? The OP. Very good. It's the object of the preposition. So we're left with what? What's left here? What's left for our sentence? Who have I not heard from yet today? You're going to make me cold call on you. All right, Sarah. They run. Sarah, what's the subject? They, and what's the verb? And that's an action. You can see it. So, can somebody go back to the very beginning of our paragraph and read me the sentence without any prepositional phrases? Read me the whole thing without prepositional phrases. Cameron. We'll go back to the very beginning. Many? How exciting is that? Can you imagine reading a book like that? You open up an Alex Rider novel, and it says, many people are afraid. They run. They scream. Okay? That's not very exciting. So prepositional phrases are good for adding some description to help you visualize what's happening in the sentence, in the story. All right, let's keep going. True, some types of scary insects are deadly. Look for the preposition. Which word in that sentence is on that pink poster or on your list? Lane? Of. So if of is a preposition, what's the prepositional phrase? Of what? Of scary insects. We go all the way till we hit the noun. So if of scary insects is a noun, then what do we need to label as our object of a preposition, Cole? Insects. Very good. And what's scary doing in that sentence then? Hannah, what's scary doing? Very good. It's modifying. What kind of insects? Scary insects. Are there insects that aren't scary? Maybe butterflies. But I bet if you looked at a butterfly under a microscope, it would probably look pretty scary too. All right, who can read me what's left of that sentence? Because now we have to find the subject and the verb. And the subject and the verb can only be in what's left of the sentence. Cooper. True, some types are deadly. So what's our subject? What's the subject then? Because it doesn't sound like a subject, but that's what it is. Cassidy? Types. Types is the subject. Now, I would bet you that if I said, find me the subject, and I did not prompt you to get rid of the prepositional phrase, I would bet that most of you would say that insects is the subject of that sentence. But it's not, because it's in a prepositional phrase. And if it's in a prepositional phrase, it can't be a subject. So the subject is types. And where's our verb? I'll give you a hint. It's a linking verb. So it's not going to be something you can see or do. Will? Are. Types are. Some types are deadly. Very few insects are actually harmful to people, though. I don't believe that. You could have a heart attack from seeing one, and that's deadly. So I don't know. It's very true. All right, so I'm giving you time to look for a preposition. Who found the preposition in this sentence? Where's the preposition? John? Well, let's look at our list. Is are on our list? It sounds like it could be. Are is actually going to be a linking verb or a helping verb. Can you find another one? It is a little word. To. So if to is the preposition, what's the phrase? To what? To people. Now, I'm going to tell you over here. Look up here. Everybody look right here. You'll see on my list that I have a big star next to to with a different formula. There's a formula that is to plus a verb. And if to is with a verb, it's not going to be a prepositional phrase. It's going to be an infinitive. But in his case, to people, people is a noun, so that's a prepositional phrase. Could anybody find me anywhere in this paragraph where you see an infinitive, where you see to, but it's followed by a verb and not a noun? Where do you see an infinitive? Cheyenne. Well, I just want to tell me the infinitive. To pollinate. So here's how we're going to code them. We're going to put brackets around it like this. They're very tricky. They try to trick you into believing that they're prepositional phrases. They're kind of like prepositional phrase wannabes. They're not really prepositional phrases. They want to be, but they have those pesky verbs in there, so they don't get to be. There's another one somewhere on this page. Can anyone find the other infinitive? Lauren? To help. So let's put brackets around it. All right. Very nice.